welcome to In the Kitchen with Mary Mac. Today is the ice cream episode, or We All Scream for Ice Cream. This recipe that I'm going to share with you today, I've been making for 20 years, and I adapted it. No, I didn't adapt it. Well, yeah, I did. I kind of adapted it. I found it because I used to use our old family recipe before that. And then about 20 years ago, it was suggested to, the whole wide world not to eat raw eggs. So,
So what you're saying is...
the original recipe has raw eggs in it, as all ice cream used to. So now we cook our eggs slightly in the ice cream. We cook the eggs. So not like scrambled eggs or dippy eggs or, an omelet or something like that, but we're going to...
everyone at the family reunion could have gotten salmonella every year.
Up until 20 years ago, yeah, okay. But I used good eggs, good local healthy eggs from good local healthy chickens. Okay, so this recipe, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my dad's family's recipe. When he gave me this recipe, he said, this recipe is over 100 years old, and our family's been making this recipe for over 100 years. And apparently, when he was a little kid, they used to make this all the time in the summer, and they had a hand crank ice cream freezer and 4 boys in the family, so the 4 boys all took turns cranking the ice cream because they're the ones that really wanted it. So
Thank you for letting us 4 girls just have an electric ice cream machine.
you're quite welcome. This is the recipe. I'm calling it the Smith-Webster family ice cream recipe of southern New York State. The Smith-Webster, boy, that's a long one. The Smith-Webster family of
Webster.
southern New York. Let me try that again.
How about the Smith-Webster Olean, New York ice cream?
The Smith-Webster Olean, New York ice cream recipe.
Would that be the
I don't know.
SWONI? The Swanee.
The Swanee.
Oh, the Swanier, because it has recipe at the end. The Swanier.
So anyway, that's where it comes from, Olean, New York, from the Smith-Webster family. So this recipe, as we said, included raw eggs, and it was 4 eggs, 1.5 cups of sugar, 2 tablespoons of vanilla, a pinch of salt, 1 quart of heavy cream, and 1 quart of whole milk. And I'm adding heavy cream and whole milk because back in those days there was just milk and cream and there wasn't a heavy and a whole. So the recipe was as stands. You mix that well and you put it into the container of your ice cream freezer, and then you cranked it all afternoon on a Sunday as a small child, and then after about 4 or 5 hours you got ice cream. So this recipe dates back to the late 1800s, and it's still a good recipe, except for the raw eggs in there that you might not want to eat. I'm not too terribly afraid of eating raw eggs if they come from chickens that I know, but, I don't want to eat.
You have to be good friends with the chickens.
Yeah, you have to be, on a first-name basis. So this is the recipe that I use, though, and this is a very, very good recipe. And I believe I found it in the ginormous Family Circle encyclopedia of recipes that I have that you could probably prop up the leg of your broken couch with it. It's an enormously thick book, and it has every recipe known to man from a magazine called Family Circle. So this recipe, I pretty much use it almost exactly as it is out of the book. Just a couple of little changes that I have. I always use whole milk in it, and I always use heavy cream in it. I don't do half and half. A lot of times recipes will call for, ice cream recipes will call for using, I don't know, all manner of strange milks. But I use the, because the fat is the thing that makes it, okay? Fat in the milk makes it. So you don't want to use,
If you use like a 1%, it's not going to work, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it will work, but it won't be good.
Yeah.
If you're going to sin. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. This is for
Go for it, dude.
This is for a standard ice cream freezer, and you can find ice cream freezers. On a side note, I'm going to tell you about ice cream freezers. If you go to your local Goodwill or Salvation Army store, it's highly likely that you will find an ice cream freezer in brand new condition there.
If you have no idea what an ice cream freezer is, it looks like a bucket and it has a little motor thing that goes across the top of it and a cylinder that goes into the bucket.
And into that cylinder, you pour your delicious concoction. We have been successful at finding many good ice cream freezers at the local Goodwill and Salvation Army because apparently they make great gifts, so people get them and then they, years later take them and donate them, and then you can go in and buy them really cheap. So we've gotten 3 that way. We wore out one of them, so we had to replace it with another. So, you always have your ice cream set up. That's what I say. Have your ice cream set up.
I just think it's amazing that we've had so many ice cream freezers and yet so many people in our family are lactose intolerant.
I'm always thinking like maybe we did that because
Might be.
we used to eat a lot of ice cream. We used to make a lot of ice cream and eat a lot of ice cream. And then, a couple years ago, your sister ended up being lactose intolerant, and now your other sister's lactose intolerant, and now your other sister thinks she might be lactose intolerant. So we're dropping like flies here.
Yeah.
But don't worry, I can fix that in this episode also. So here's the recipe. Very good recipe. So when we say, the ice cream freezer, in the center of the bucket, as Anna said, there's a container where you put your mixture, and in that container there's a paddle that stirs your ice cream. So you're going to make your mixture, put it in there, put the lid on it, put that inside the bucket, attach the motor to the top, and then what you do is you put about 3 or 4 inches of ice in it. You put some rock salt on top like you would use to melt ice if you live where it snows. And then you put a little more ice, a little more salt, a little more ice, a little more salt until it's filled up the whole way. Then you turn it on and start that baby freezing. And it usually takes like 45 minutes to freeze ice cream. And what you put in there, you're going to put in about 2 quarts of a mix, which is a half gallon. And you're going to get about a gallon of ice cream when you're done because it whips up. It gets air in it. So, and it's delicious. If you've never made your own ice cream, it's well worth going to the Salvation Army and seeing if you can find an ice cream freezer. Or asking for one for a gift.
It has a texture kind of like in between hard ice cream and soft serve.
Yeah.
So it's not like really soft, but it's not hard ice cream.
Right, and right when you first make it, what we always did was we take the motor off and let the container float up so it's still sitting in the ice mixture to keep it cold. And we would have this, as we said at our family reunion, so it didn't melt. People would come up and get a bowl of ice cream, and it didn't melt, and it was very good.
And then you could lick the paddle.
And see,
when
here's
the motor was off.
But here's the thing, though: our family reunion used to take place on an active dairy farm, so we would, on a dairy farm, when you milk the cows, the milk goes into this big tank, and the tank has a paddle in it that stirs the milk and keeps the cream mixed up with the milk. But what our cousin would do was he would milk the cows, but not turn the tank on so that all the cream would go to the top, and then he'd just scoop all the cream off. So we would have like basically solid cream ice cream. It was like, oh, heaven. It was heaven. Moment of silence for that ice cream.
That's why we're lactose intolerant.
That could be exactly it. But it was good times, good times.
Yeah.
So here's your ice cream recipe. You're going to need 2 cups of whole milk, 1 quart of heavy cream, 1.5 cups of sugar, dash of salt, a 1/4 cup of flour, 4 eggs slightly beaten, and 2 tablespoons of vanilla. So what you're going to do is in a heavy bottomed pot, you're going to mix the sugar, salt, and flour in a heavy bottom pot. And then you're going to gradually add the 2 cups of whole milk and stir that until well blended, and you're going to start cooking that over low heat. And you want to cook it until it starts to get thickened. So really you have to stir it a lot, and I always stir it with a whisk just to make sure you don't get clumps in it, and stir that. And what it'll do, it'll start to kind of bubble. It'll look lumpy, but it's actually bubbling, okay? And it'll start to bubble, and you're just going to stir it, but you want it to be thick, and it's probably going to be the consistency of like pudding when you get to the right point. Now, in another bowl, you're going to have your 4 eggs slightly beaten in that bowl. So when you get to the point where your milk, sugar, salt, and flour mixture is thickening, you're going to very carefully pour about half of it into the eggs, and you're going to beat those eggs while you're doing it, like right away, boom, boom, boom. And that hot mixture will cook the eggs. And then once you get it incorporated in there and you've beaten it pretty well, you're going to pour that all back into the pot and also beat that. If you might need an extra person to do this part until you've done it a few times. You need like 8 arms to do this, but once you pour it back into the pot, and then you're going to let it cook for another minute and stir it, and then just take it off the burner and let it cool. Hit it occasionally, stir it occasionally, let it cool. And then I always would pour it into a container and put it into the refrigerator and let that cool. Once it gets nice and cool, you can make your ice cream. And what you'll do is you'll get your 1 quart of heavy cream, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and mix it into this thickened, cooled concoction that you've made. And that's what you're going to put into your ice cream freezer. So mix that all together, mix the heavy cream, the vanilla, and your cooked mixture. Mix that well and put that into your ice cream freezer and freeze it. And you will have ice cream. Now, I haven't made a lot of flavors because basically we like toppings more than flavors, so we would make vanilla and have all kinds of toppings. But we have made chocolate ice cream, and a really easy way to do that is substituting for the milk. You know the chocolate milk you buy at the grocery store that's made with whole milk and it's so chocolatey that like a spoon could stand up in it? That's the milk you're going to use for your ice cream. So if you use 2 cups of chocolate milk and then make the rest of it the same, it makes a very, very good chocolate ice cream. It's very delicious. But we really like the toppings. So this is our classic family ice cream recipe that we use when we make ice cream. However, as we mentioned, many of us are now lactose intolerant in the family from our abuse of ice cream. So I've been looking for a dairy-free recipe, not lactose-free milk, but dairy-free recipe for quite a while. And I found one, and I tried it, and I didn't like it. So I tried it again, and I liked it a little bit better. So I did one more thing to it, and it is perfect. So I'm going to give you 2 recipes now. These are both dairy-free and also vegan. And one of them is very much like gelato, and it's so incredibly sweet that like a teaspoon of it would get you through the whole day. If you really needed, this is chocolate. They're both chocolate flavored now. It's just delicious. It's just delicious. So here's the first thing I did. This is going to be the gelato. And it's really good. And what's really nice about it is it's pretty quick to make. So like, say you came home from work and you really, really need something super sweet and chocolate and you just want to make something good and you want it to be ready pretty quick, this is the thing you're going to make. These recipes both use cream of coconut.
Specifically cream of coconut, not coconut milk,
Yes.
right?
Yes, cream of coconut.
They are different things and usually are in different locations in the store.
Yeah, cream of coconut's usually right around where the mixed drink stuff is, like...
Yeah, we found that out during the Pina Colada Cupcake episode.
Yes.
I didn't even think to look there.
Yes, so if you look where alcohol is sold, you'll find...
Sold in all places where alcohol is sold. Cream of coconut.
Cream of coconut. And cream of coconut is sweetened coconut milk, but it also is very, 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 very rich. Very rich.
And it's very thick.
It's very thick.
I think it's the whole, coconut.
Yeah, it's the whole
meat
coconut
in
meat
there. Yeah.
and milk, and you have to scrape it out of the can. It's thick. It looks like cocoa butter.
Yeah, sometimes, I think when I did it for the cupcakes, I had to, kind of ease it out of the can and then whip it up with a whisk.
Yeah.
So it was all the oil was reincorporated into it.
Yes. Yes, it likes to separate. It's a thing that separates.
It looks kind of gross, but it'll be good.
So if you like gelato, but you can't have dairy products, or if you practice a vegan diet, but you will eat something that has 100 million calories in it.
Or if you just love insane amounts of chocolate.
And this is good. This
Yeah,
is really good.
It's good.
So you're going to take 1 can of cream of coconut, which it's a 15-ounce can. So 1 15-ounce can of cream of coconut, a 1/3 cup of baking cocoa powder, like Hershey's baking cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And you're going to mix this. First, stir it to get the cocoa powder mixed in, because if you don't, it'll blow up all over you. So stir in the cocoa powder. And then once you get it all stirred in, you're going to get a mixer, or you can do this in your food processor or blender. But you want to mix this until well blended for a couple of minutes and get it really mixed up well. And you don't add any sugar to this. Do not add sugar to this, because it will make your teeth come right out of your head. I mean, it's so sweet.
I had some 5 minutes ago. It's so sweet.
And that's without added sugar.
Yeah.
You want to put this into a small container that's okay in the freezer. It can be glass or plastic or metal, whatever you want to put it in. And it takes about, maybe an hour to an hour and a half to set up. I think it took less than an hour for it to set up when we tried it. And it has the consistency, I'm not kidding, of gelato. And you don't need much.
Should you put it in a shallow container so it'll freeze faster, or does it matter?
I'd say a shallow container, it'll freeze faster. Yeah. So I think the one that I have it in, it's about 2 inches deep in it. It's not a very big container. And this makes enough for, one person to get you through that last week of the month at work when everybody's cranky and yelling at you and stuff, and you just need to get stuff out the door, and you're like, it'll get you through it. I'm telling you. So that is the gelato-like recipe. This is the ice cream-like recipe. Slightly different. So you're going to take 2 cans of cream of coconut, 2 15-ounce cans of cream of coconut, 3/4 cup of cocoa powder, a 1/2 cup of sugar or honey. You can also use honey. I used sugar. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt or kosher salt, and 2 cups of unsweetened almond milk or unsweetened soy milk. Now you're going to do the same thing. You're going to very carefully stir that until you get your cocoa powder incorporated, and then whip it up with your mixer until everything is very well blended. And it will be, I would say it comes out to be about the consistency of cake batter. Now, if you have an ice cream freezer, you can put this right into the canister of your ice cream freezer and freeze it like that if you want to. However, I put this into a shallow rectangular Tupperware container. It's legit real Tupperware. It's the real deal. And I put it in there and put it in the freezer, and it took about 1.5 hours to freeze, and we were able to scoop it out like ice cream, and I'm telling you, it's almost as good as Nadamu.
I would not have known it was dairy-free unless I was told.
It's very good. It's very good. Now, I was talking to a person who makes a similar thing to this, almost exactly this, but for the flavoring, they use that flavored protein powder. So protein powder comes in a ton of flavors. And there's a very popular peanut butter flavor out now. So there's, that's an option that you could do if you want to make this sort of like a protein powder health food bodybuilding
Ice
cream treat.
I think you'd just have to watch. Like, you wouldn't want to get a too sweet of a flavor of protein powder.
No, you wouldn't want a real sweet flavor. So that might be a very good thing to try. But this is delicious. This chocolate, I'm telling you, it is absolutely delicious. I was even thinking with this particular recipe, this ice cream recipe, you could probably pour it into those popsicle molds and make like a fudge bar out of it.
Make your own fudgesicles.
Yeah, I think it would be very easy. And that you wouldn't even know. You really, I don't, did you notice much of a coconut taste? Because I did not notice much of a coconut taste.
I did a little bit in the gelato one, but in the one that has the almond milk in it, I didn't notice at all. Like I said, I would not have known if you didn't tell me.
Yeah, it's good. It's very
and
good.
The texture is the same as regular hard ice cream.
You're right. Yeah, the texture was very good. I was very impressed. And you know what I like about this too? One of the things that really bothers me about ice cream that you buy at the store and dairy-free ice cream is there's all sorts of additives in there to make it creamy and to make it I don't know what it does. But there's things you can't pronounce on there. And even in the vegan ice creams, there's additives that you can't pronounce. And this is everything here you can pronounce. Well, most people can. I can't, but normal words, I'm out. But this is very easy to make, very good, and you know what you put in it. So that's what I like. I love stuff like that. I just love when you can read there's like 5 or 6 ingredients, So these are really good. No lie. I'm going to have to do many more experiments on it. So
We're going to need to start an exercise podcast so we can work off all the weight we gained from this one.
yeah. In the gym with Mary Mac. I'll complain the whole time. That's what I'll do. I'll complain and gripe. Oh, I hate this place. But I put myself there, right? So I hope you guys give these a try and let me know what you think as always. I'd love to hear some feedback if you like them, or if you tried the recipe, or if you enjoyed it. But thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for supporting us and listening. We get a good amount of listens from SoundCloud and iTunes, and we really appreciate you listening to our food ramblings here. And I don't know, we sound like we have a strange addiction. That's about what it is. So,
all right. Well, be sure to check us out online. Our website is marymacpodcast.com. Our Facebook and Instagram is Mary Mac Bakehouse, and our Twitter is Mary Mac Mixes.
Thanks a lot for listening if you did, and if you didn't, too bad for you.